If you're watching this video because you're feeling overwhelmed, then I have got you covered. If we haven't met before, I'm Dr. Sarah, and I like to call myself a recovering people pleaser and a recovering perfectionist, and I help people find more confidence in their life and find their life purpose. I'm quite a sensitive person, and when I was more of a perfectionist and a people pleaser, I would find myself overcommitting to things, overstretching myself, saying yes to too many things, not having good boundaries in place in my life, and then I would feel overwhelmed, and I would go through these cycles of overwhelm and burnout regularly. And now I'm slowly coming to the realization that life doesn't have to be this way, and I am trying to move myself away from those kind of habits and patterns that kept me in the overwhelm cycle. And I'm going to share those with you today. And I'm actively pursuing a life of less busyness, more peace. So what is overwhelm? If it's anything like I feel when I'm overwhelmed, stressed, irritable, snappy, tired all the time, struggling to sleep. I have an endless to-do list when I'm overwhelmed, and my brain just seems to go over it and over it, and everything seems like it's too much. I'm overloaded. When we're overwhelmed, we go into a state of stress and anxiety, and our sympathetic nervous system is activated. And we can also go into freeze mode, where we procrastinate and we find it difficult to make even the most simple of decisions. Procrastination really is no man's land. You're not really resting, you're not actually doing anything that's productive. You're just going for those little dopamine hits, scrolling social media, online shopping, things that will temporarily take away the pain of feeling overwhelmed, but actually it doesn't really help. And maybe that's why you're here watching this video. If you want to see a deep dive into more about overwhelm, I've written a blog post which I've linked down in the description box below. So what causes us to be overwhelmed in the first place? Well, I like to think of it as external factors and internal factors. External factors can be things like cognitive overload, where we have simply too much information coming our way. It could be responsibility overload, like having a high workload in your job, having an overload of community involvement, or personal life admin like childcare, household chores, managing finances. We can also have emotional overload, where we have an overwhelming input of emotions like major life events, bereavement, becoming a new parent, job loss, caregiving for a family member, or providing emotional support for friends and family. And sensory overload, where we're exposed to an excessive amount of sensory input, like being in chronic pain or discomfort if you've got a chronic health condition, lack of sleep, loud noises like working in a busy work environment like a construction site or an emergency department, bright lights, crowded spaces, or overwhelming smells and pollution. I remember being in Manila in the Philippines, and the pollution in the air was really overwhelming. Okay, so those are the external factors. What about the internal factors? Well, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I think that people pleasing and perfectionism is strongly linked to becoming overwhelmed, mainly because people pleasers and perfectionists don't always have the best boundaries around their time and their energy. Perfectionism is when we strive for flawlessness and perfection in all aspects of our lives, and when we don't live up to those standards, then we take that as a hit to our own self-esteem. Perfectionism can lead to overwhelm because we have a lot of undone tasks. Perfectionists have a strong success drive. You want to do things well, but you also have a strong fear of failure, meaning that you have lots of unfinished things. Having a lot of undone tasks on our to-do list can add to our cognitive load and make us feel really overwhelmed. When we have perfectionist tendencies, we can also find it hard to prioritize tasks because we think that everything is the priority. As the saying goes, when everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. So why does people pleasing make us feel overwhelmed? If you're a people pleaser, then you're in the habit of putting other people's needs and wants above your own, often at the expense of your own well-being. And that normally stems from low self-esteem or a need for acceptance and approval from others. People pleasing can lead to overwhelm quite frequently, and it's easy to see why when you think about these things. People pleasers often overcommit themselves, like I used to. You say yes to too many things that you just don't really want to do. That to-do list just keeps getting longer and longer with more tasks and obligations added on. When you're a people pleaser, you're often a kind and giving person, but maybe you give too much of yourself. If you're a people pleaser, you give and give and give, and you actually ignore your own emotional and physical cues. So you don't listen to your mind and your body when your body is telling you, this is enough, I need to stop, I need to rest, I need to slow down. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Well, I have been there, I have done that, I've got the t-shirt, it's not pretty, and you may be experiencing those cycles of overwhelm because of that. I create loads of free content about these topics, but if you want more of a deep dive into how you can overcome perfectionism and people pleasing, then have a look in the description box below and you can check out my course Click Into Place, where I help people pleasers, perfectionists and overachievers overcome their low self-esteem and gain more confidence. Okay, so let's dive into the 5 steps to overcoming overwhelm today. So when you're overwhelmed, you really just want everything that's overwhelming you to just magically disappear, don't you? You just want to step away from it all, you want a break, and your body and mind are telling you that. And yes, you do need to listen to those things, but here is a way that you can strategically overcome the overwhelm without just avoiding all of your responsibilities. So number 1 is to reset yourself. You need to get your body moving in the best way for you at that time. So for me, when I was feeling completely stressed and overwhelmed, I would often find that getting myself out for a run would make me feel so much better, get those endorphins going and get some of the adrenaline out of my system. You may find that you would rather put on some good music and have a little dance party around your kitchen, or maybe you want to listen to something slow and soothing, light a candle, put some aromatherapy on, do some yoga, some meditation, some breath work, whatever works for you in that moment. Step number 2 is a brain dump. So we've reset the energy in our body, and now we need to get everything that is in our head out and onto paper, because the worst thing when you're overwhelmed is that your brain is going through that cognitive overload where you're trying to remember everything. Your brain is stressed by that. You need to get it out of your brain and onto paper. So the way that I do this is I get a few sheets of plain paper and I literally just write down everything that is in my head in bullet points. I make the page normally into 2 columns and I just bullet point down, and I'm writing everything I can think of: unfinished tasks, people I need to contact, bills I need to pay, things that are worrying me, dates I need to put in my diary, people I need to reply to, because yes, when I'm overwhelmed, I completely avoid my messages, and basically anything else that's on my mind. And I just keep writing until it's all out. This could take you 5 minutes, it could take you half an hour, it could take you more, but just get it all out of your brain and onto paper. I remember the first time that I did this, and I think I filled 4 pages with 2 columns on each page, and I've got really tiny writing. Seeing everything that has been swimming around your brain written down and onto paper is actually really cathartic. Number 3, organise your brain dump with the 4 Ds. So the 4 Ds are delete, delegate, delay and done. You're going to delete anything that doesn't really need to be on there. Is there anything else on your list that you're thinking, I'm just being a perfectionist about this, that doesn't need to happen, strike it off? Is there anything on your list that you said yes to because you were people pleasing, but actually you don't really want to do it and it's stressing you out? If so, then get your phone out, message the person that you need to and say that you can't make it. Then put your phone away. Don't let yourself get distracted and procrastinate using your phone. The aim is to get everything crossed off this brain dump. As you get better at coming out of being a people pleaser, you'll be able to set more healthy boundaries for yourself, and you'll have less on your list that are things you've said yes to that you don't really want to do. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes, I promise. The 3rd D is to delegate. Is there anything on your list that can be done by somebody else? Can your partner help you? Can kids help you? A friend, a neighbour, a relative? Is there anything that anyone else can do for you from that list? Can technology do any of the heavy lifting? Can you do an online food shop? Can you get some things that you need to buy regularly? Can you get them to automate to be sent to you via a subscription? Maybe you are in a position to be able to hire someone to help you with some of that load, like hiring a cleaner or someone to do your ironing, or paying a local teenager to mow your lawn or wash your car. If there are things that can be delegated, contact those people right there and then. Send the message, send the email, and then put your phone away. Cross those things off the list. And the 4th thing is delay. Now this may sound like a bit of a weird one when I'm trying to tell you not to procrastinate, but hear me out on this one. This isn't procrastination and this isn't avoidance. this is scheduling out your remaining tasks. Darren Hardy, who is the editor of Success magazine, calls it the box and shelf method. The idea is that you take that task that's bothering you, you pop it in a box and you put it on the shelf, and you worry about it only when it is time to worry about that thing. You've designated a section of your calendar to deal with that thing, and you don't have to think about it at any other time. You can remove that cognitive load because you know it's going to get done. So you're going to go through each of those tasks, and based on importance and deadlines, you're going to schedule them into your calendar. And this way, even if there are things that don't have a particular deadline, paying for life insurance, cleaning the oven, then they're still scheduled in your diary and they will get done. And the final D is done. If you've got any tasks that will take you less than 2 minutes, or any tasks that are of burning urgence that you need to get done right now, then now is the time to do it. And you can cross each of those things off your list as you do them. So phoning and making a dentist appointment, get it done. Reply to someone's email, get that done. Pay your electricity bill, get it done. Or if you really feel like you just don't have the energy to do those things right now and you are feeling too overwhelmed, then schedule in a time in your diary for little itty bitty jobs. Okay, and a few bonus points to add on here that are very, very important are to remember that work will expand to fill a void. Set yourself a timer and get these things done. Second thing that will help any of you perfectionists out there is to do it until it's done. Don't try and task switch and multitask. Just focus on one thing, get it done until it's done, and then cross it off and move on. This is something that I'm really actively trying to pursue in my own life at the moment, with YouTube and content creation, but also just in my life in general. So I have a habit of doing a load of laundry and then either leaving it in the washer for ages and I have to rewash it, or leaving it on the drying rack for days at a time. I'm trying to get into the habit of finishing that thing, packing up, folding up the laundry, putting it away, and not giving myself lots of undone things. Okay, the next point in my 5 stages of overcoming overwhelm is self-care. What you really need right now when you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed is to listen to your body and listen to your mind. Take good care of yourself. Self-care has the word self in it for a reason. You are responsible for looking after yourself. So if your mind and body are overwhelmed, then it is a signal to you to take good care of yourself. So this is the fun bit, really. Do you want to take a nap? Do you want to go for a walk in nature? Maybe you want some downtime and you're craving just a bit of TV time, watching your favourite show. I love to spend a couple of hours doing some personal grooming, doing my nails, putting on a hair mask, a face mask, and just taking really good care of myself physically. That makes me feel so good. Maybe you want to call someone for a catch-up, friend or a family, or maybe you just want to spend some time reading a good book, curled up on the sofa. Whatever it is, listen to what your body is telling you that you want and do it. Now, I know that when you feel overwhelmed, doing self-care can feel really counterintuitive because your mind might be on that single track of telling you, I should be more productive, I should be doing things, I should be taking tasks off my to-do list. But this is when you need self-care the most. You will function so much better when you're well rested and your mind has had a chance to just relax. Allow yourself to just totally switch off from your obligations for a period of time and then come back to them when you're feeling better. And the final point, number 5, is to talk to someone, talk to other people. When you're a perfectionist, you can get yourself into the mindset of, I should be able to deal with this on my own. And you can find it hard to reach out for help or tell people that you're feeling overwhelmed. But let people know that you're feeling that way. Talk to friends, talk to family, talk to your partner, or talk to a medical professional or a mental health professional, because talking to someone about it will make you feel so much better. Talking to other people can also be helpful because they may be able to tell you a quicker way to do things or an alternative route. I know when I was creating my online course, I was finding myself getting overwhelmed a lot when I started creating it. And I spoke about it with my husband, Vince, and he came up with some really good ways of streamlining my workflow so that I actually could minimize the amount of time I was spending doing particular particular tasks. They were things that I hadn't thought of that could be sped up. Or maybe you could talk to your university tutor, your college tutor, your boss, if there are things that are overwhelming you in your workplace or your place of study, because they may be able to help you as well. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. Let me know down below if you have any other ideas and how you deal with things when you're overwhelmed. Make sure you hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Be kind to yourself, and I'll see you next time.